Hi, this is Elliot from Workload. In this video, we're going to build a workflow using a couple of our tools by Workload. We're going to start by having a new form response in Google Forms as our trigger, and then we're going to take the response to that form and filter it through our AI formatter by Workload to pull out the answers that we need. Then we're going to learn about our date formatter by Workload, which is going to take our date from our form response and format it into a version that can be used by Trello to create a new card. All right, it's time to build a workflow. So we're going to begin here at the Workload editor. I'm going to give a title to my workflow. So this will be Forms to Trello. And I'm going to click inside of my trigger box to pick my triggering event. So this is going to be in Google Forms, and it's going to be the event of a new form response. So I'm going to click continue. I'm going to choose my Google account, and then I'm going to select the form that I want to be the triggering event. So in this instance, it's going to be my interview sign-up form. So whenever I get a new sign-up to this interview sign-up form, then that's going to trigger the next series of actions. Click continue, and then I'm going to test to see if there's a response for this form. And there is. But if I look at this form, especially if I click over here where it says raw console, you can see that there's a lot of information that I don't need for my Trello card. And in fact, the only information I need is stored in these fields called value. So I need to add a step to my workflow that's going to take out those value responses and make them into a more simple response that I can translate into a card in Trello. So I'm going to click continue at the end of this first step. And now for my action, I'm actually going to use one of our workload tools. So I'm going to click on the tools icon here on the right side. And for this next step, I'm going to select the AI formatter by Workload. And I'm going to format the data. So for the input data for this first field, I'm going to click inside the box and then come down to my drop-down menu. And this is going to show the whole response I got from my new form response trigger. And again, the only answers I want are what's stored here in these value fields. So I'm going to click this whole answers array because that contains all of the things that I want. And that's where it's going to pull the information from. And I'm going to tell the prompt what I want. Pull out all of the value fields and create a response that is not contained within an array. So a lot of times when we're getting form responses, whether it's from Google Forms or JotForm, they all have different ways that the response looks. And it's oftentimes you'll have to use our AI formatter tool to get the response that you need. So if you're doing a response from Google Forms, then you can just copy this exact same phrase and use it yourself. So I'm going to click continue, and we're going to test our action. And there it goes. This is what I wanted, just the answers to the Google form, not contained within an array. So now I can click continue, but I'm noticing that this has a date and it has a time that are separate. When I create a card in Trello, I want the date and time to be part of the same field so I can plug that in to Trello. So now what I can do is click continue. I'm going to add another step. And this time I'm going to use, again, another tool. I'm going to use my date formatter. And I'm going to format the date. So the date that I have already, I'm going to come down to step 2, click inside of that box, and I'm going to pick the date. I'm going to hit space, and I'm going to select the time. So that's the information I had before, and I want to convert that into a version that has the date and time all as one single response. So I'm going to click there and click continue. And I'm going to test this action. So now that date is created into one response that I should be able to plug into Trello. So I'll click continue again. I'm going to put one more step into my workflow, and this is going to be in Trello. Now I'm going to create a card, choose my Trello account, and this is where I'm going to import information from my formatted response. So first, I need to select the board in Trello that I want to post this information to. So it'll be my test board, and it's going to be in my to-do list. And now the name I'm going to pull from that response. So I'm going to click inside of the box for name. I'm not going to select it from the raw response from Google Forms. I'm going to select it from the formatted response from an AI formatter. So I'm going to click in step 2, and I'm going to find the name, Jojen Noodle. And then for the description, again from our AI formatter, is going to be this answer to what the job interview, which role the job interview is for. So recreation coordinator. The card position is just telling Trello where on your board you want the card to go. So we'll say the bottom. And then you can select an image for this workflow. So every time a new form response comes in, the same image will appear on your board, or you can select a color. So I'm going to use a color. And for this example, I'm going to imagine that this is yellow. So every time I get a form response, it's going to create a card on my Trello board that's yellow. Previously, I had set up another workflow with Trello that took a new event in Google Calendar and made that into a red card. So if I remember where these different cards are associated with different workflows, then when I look at my Trello board, I'll know immediately, okay, that was from Google Calendar because it's red. This is from Google Forms because it's yellow. And then for the date, we're going to click inside the start date box. And this I'm going to pull from that step 3, which is our formatted date. And I'm going to select the date there. And now I'm going to click continue. And I'm going to test this action. And here we go. We have a response from Trello saying that this card was created. So I'm going to click continue. And now my workflow is set up. I could come back over to Trello and I can reload my board. And now I can see at the bottom of my board, I have a yellow card telling me about my appointment for an interview with Jojen Noodle. And it tells me the start date. And I can see up here was that red response from Google Calendar that tells me about my chiropractor appointment. So if I go back here to my workflow, everything is set up correctly. There's a green dot in the corner of each one of my nodes in my workflow, and I got the response that I wanted. So now I can activate my workflow. And so now if I get a new form response to that same form, it will automatically create a card in Trello. So that's how you can use our tools by workload in order to create a workflow connecting a new form response in Google Forms with creating a card in Trello. Please like and subscribe this video to get more content from Workload about how to make your business practices run more smoothly. And I'll see you next time.